In this episode, Dr. Rob and Corey Davis give an outstanding health tip of what to do when you're really having a bad day. Should you supplement? What do you take if you're having a bad day to bridge that gap? They talk about spices, marinades, and burnt food.
Let's say you just can't eat orange foods and you just can't get your beta carotene in and you're deficient. Supplement, but supplement with the closest thing to a whole food as possible if you really care about your health.
It's kind of like if you have a bad day diet wise, so you take this pill kind of, introducing some sort of nutrition so it's not maybe as bad, which has merit. But I'll tell you, the number one tip I've ever learned, the single best health tip I've ever learned for that, if you're having like a bad nutrition day, what to add into your diet, it comes down to spices. And where I got this idea from was in terms of marinating meats. So imagine you take meats, you're charring it on the grill, right? You're creating that char. Yeah. So many incredibly, horribly bad chemicals that are created in that char process. When you marinate meat though, those chemical compounds are dramatically reduced. I forget, I wrote it in my book. I think it was like sage, rosemary. There's a few of them. It reduced it by like 60% on certain chemical compounds.
Unbelievable.
It was dramatic. So when you think about, let's say you're going to McDonald's or you're going whatever, you're eating some fried food, you're taking fat and you're frying it, you're heating it at high temperatures, creating that oxidized, damaged fat that's so unhealthy. One of the greatest things to add into your diet, if you are going to do that, is if you're cooking it at home, before you cook that meal, add spices into the oil itself to help protect the oil, turmeric, oregano, crush it, make sure there's a lot of antioxidants there. Or at least take some kind of like spice capsule, soft gel, something. So you're sort of mimicking that in a way. I think that has tremendous. So herbs, I think, can play a huge role that way.
I agree.
But yeah, in the multivitamin category, that's a category that.
Yeah. I think Rob and I would say mostly stay away from. So fermentation, we're positive, right? This is a very positive view of fermentation in foods. But when it comes to a multivitamin, fermentation doesn't add a whole lot of benefit because now we're past that time when we need just synthetic nutrients, or that the industry was using just synthetic nutrients and then fermenting them. There are new classes of multivitamins that are as close to food as we've ever been.
And usually like in powder, like something where you can get a hefty like spoonful or like a large amount. If it's in a capsule or tablet, it'll be in like a larger dose. You're going to have to take more, but that's okay. You're not going to get nutrition in like one soft gel of a product, no matter what they're putting in there. It's just, you can't. Don't be fooled by that. And also the other thing I just want to say is that, isolates, if you're taking, selenium, magnesium, whatever the nutrient is, doesn't mean it's bad. You could use them therapeutically for many different things, but I think people now think that isolates are therapeutic where whole food is not. No, it's the opposite by far. But you can still use isolates as therapy. They have huge merit when you compare certain high dose nutrients to, let's say, pharmaceutical drugs. Oftentimes you'll get either tremendous supportive benefit or tremendous benefit over and beyond what the drug is doing. A lot of the times you can often wean off certain drugs by introducing isolates, high dose vitamins or minerals, through supplementation. So you can do that, but it's best to be doing that with the supervision of some kind of physician, somebody who really knows what they're doing, so they have your whole case and they can monitor. So there's, I've used B6 for carpal tunnel syndrome with great results. I've used, tons of things, but in terms of nourishment, in terms of chronic disease, there's no replacement. You just can't.
Yeah. So fermentation has also arrived in the herbal world, in plants. You can now get rishtams. Hell yeah. So we're talking about taking a botanical ingredient like turmeric, for example, and then you can actually culture that using bacteria and or yeast and a culture medium, similar to what they're doing with probiotics when they're making them industrially. But you can put an herb through that same process. And the science is fairly new. I've talked to one of these companies that they do this for people. You can send them a botanical and they'll ferment it for you. And we know a certain amount of the compounds that are created during fermentation. We know about these things called bacteriocins. We know about ferment metabolites. So there are certain extra compounds that are made whenever a bacteria is eating sugars. Certain bacteria, create these beneficial compounds. And we know that the botanicals are being pre-digested, quote unquote. So that means that the carbohydrates are being converted. as they would in our own natural digestion, because part of digestion is actually fermentation. Our bacteria pick up on fibers and nutrients and biotransform them before they send them through the gut wall into our bloodstreams in order for us to benefit from them. Right? So this happens all the time within our bodies. And there are certain companies that are doing that to the botanicals to allow, let's say our digestion is weak and we don't have a lot of that beneficial bacteria to make these conversions for us. We can kind of do that externally and still get those benefits. So I'm a fan of this movement into fermenting botanicals using the right bacteria strains. They come in liquids or powders. And as long as they're organic and they're using proper yeast and proper bacteria. There's one thing that I learned through researching yeast is that some of the yeast, especially the ones that are used in mainstream winemaking and beer making, contain things like chemical defoaming agents, chemical additives that are ultimately things that aren't beneficial or healthy for you. And if you're using organic yeast to do fermentation, you're really benefiting your health to, of course, not be.
They grow on different mediums. So the organic yeast, I think, can only grow on a wheat medium, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't remember now. And that's why the company you and we used to work at, they couldn't put the gluten-free mark. It had to just be less than, I think, whatever, 20 parts per billion or per million or whatever the gluten thing. They had that statement. They couldn't put gluten-free because you have to use it in organic yeast, something like that. I can't remember now. Whereas non-organic yeast can be grown in all sorts of crazy mediums. Yeah, it can be contaminated. So, Rob, what do you think? Would you, I guess, do you take any fermented botanicals at this time? And I guess, would you recommend in any way that people look into this technology? I don't take it at this time, but I am fascinated by it, and I have taken them, and I do. Well, I mean, I drink kombucha every once in a while. You know, I use fermented foods. I'll drink kefir. I eat a lot of fermented foods, but no, I don't take fermented botanicals, but I do think they are incredible. Fermented turmeric, fermented ginger, fermented holy basil, I think fermentation, you're getting pretty much all the benefits of the non-fermented, but much better. Plus the culture. Yeah, you're transforming the food into something incredible. But I do think dosage and magnitude and expertise play a huge role. Using any strain just because you think it's hip or cool to ferment these things now and taking a dosage that you're just kind of guessing as a company, that's crazy. You can't say that that's going to have benefit. Arishtams have been used for, 1,000 years in India. So you need to be leveraging that experience if you're going to be taking it. So that's what I think about that. I think when it comes to fermented foods, you really have to leverage a long history. You can't just kind of say it's a fermented herb and assume that it's good for you. It could be dangerous depending what kind of strain. You don't know what it's doing to that. I mean, look how different a cup of coffee can taste, pretty much doing the same thing. You make one slight change, it's a completely different extraction. And the same holds true with fermentation. I mean, you ever try making bread? You ever try pickling your own stuff? I have, and screwed it up miserably. That's why I haven't done it again. Yeah, sure. You really need to know what you're doing. So don't trust companies. Really understand where the companies are coming from, the history, who is in charge of formulation, where they come from. I think culturally, it makes a big difference. You really have to know what you're doing. You know, would you trust? And what things are added? Yeah, sometimes you have to add. Like, let's say the fermentation. You know, imagine you're a producer of these things, and you're creating a tank of fermented botanical of some sort. And let's say it doesn't turn out well. The pH is off, this is a very even the best beer brewers in the world don't always nail it every time. You know, there's things that can get off in the formula. Pay more for expertise. You know, bread is infamous for that too. You know, you go to these grocery stores everywhere and you'll see artisanal bread. But it's not artisanal. It's just a bunch of garbage. It's nonsense. They might be using better ingredients. They might be using organic ingredients, fine. But it's still not old world, real, true fermented bread, sour bread, real sourdough bread, not just the label sourdough. You know, real sourdough doesn't use yeast. It uses ambient yeast. They don't add manufacturing yeast to it. It uses ambient yeast from the air. So big difference. Pay for expertise. So really find out from the company who's running it, who's formulating the stuff.
Yeah, and if there are any additives used during the process. And what
because you're going to start to see a ton of fermented herbal products, and on the label, it'll look the same. So, you'll be tempted to just buy on price, but don't.
Yep.
That's some real good buying advice there.
Yeah. And that's basically everything anyone needs to know about fermentation. We covered every facet of it, right?
Said it 100%. All, buddy. We said it all. Any questions, please reach out to us. Absolutely. You can comment. Please. You can, absolutely.
Well, great.
Cool, man.
I learned an unfun fact. Is that a thing? I'm going to invent that. An unfun fact about, you were talking about grilled meats and we've talked about acrylamide in the past. Do you know what naturally contains a ton of acrylamide that you would never
potato chips and beet chips for sure.
Those for sure, but we would expect it because you're actually cooking it.
Arrowroot cookies for kids.
Ooh,
that contains a huge amount.
Does it? Incredible.
Yeah.
Prune juice.
Oh yes, I knew that. Yes. You're right. What? Prune juice. Yes, buddy. Yes.
What's
that's
that
true.
about?
I don't know. Yeah.
Me either. Well,
great for constipation though.
I use it every day.
Yeah, buddy. You just blanked out. It says, there you go. And we're back, baby.
And we're back.
But man, I really look forward to the next one. We'll have to have like an amazing value jam-packed session next time. I don't even know what topic we'll discuss, but it'll be something really cool. So stay tuned.
This was really fun. I love it.
I love this topic. This is a great one.
Super awesome. I'm going to be in Thailand, leaving on the 30th to December 5th, just so you know.
My man.
So our timing might be a little off. I'm still going to try to make
October 30th to December 5th?
October 30th to December 5th.
Oh, man,
I don't want us to take
a
a break in the show. A month, in Thailand. I'm a digital nomad.
What are you doing there?
Well, it's just, winter's coming in Portland, dude. And it's just like cloudy every day, rainy all the time. So I'm going there for a little workcation. I'm not going on a vacation. I'm still going to do all my work I need to do.
Probably live like a king, picking bananas fresh off the tree, having papayas that are like yellow and ripe and just,
meditating every day in the temples. There's all these amazing temples there. So
I would love to do
great
that.
Time.
I got to get away from winter at all costs. I need it. We need some good winter gigs. So, any amazing speaking engagement, some kind of thing that can just get us away from winter. I mean, just
are you still available as an independent contractor? Or are you?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I've been talking to my friend Marcy, who I met during the building of Product Conscious, and she works for CW Hemp, which is
okay. I don't know CW, oil. But I know hemp companies for sure. There's a ton of them.
They're one of the major ones in the United States, and they're just now increasing. So she's creating a education initiative, and she just contacted me on this yesterday. She wants to do independent contractors to do education, like on the East Coast, on the West Coast. Yeah, and
smart.
Is kind of building that team, to have granularity. So she wants people that are really good at science to be on like the expo and the science panels, and then people that are good being emotional and connective and storytelling in the stores and doing some of the, more of the emotional work. Really intelligent approach to education is not the top down, but a bottom up kind of who best meets these customers where they're at. So anyway, long story short, I talked to her about it. She wants to put me forth to CW Hemp and have me chat with them or consult with them on how this works. Yeah, and if it's approved, this concept of using contract educators, it's something that if you're interested in, you're of course on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast.
Right.
There might be some opportunities for you to do some larger speaking events or something like that.
I'm very interested. Very interested. I love hemp as a subject. I love pretty much everything there is to know about hemp. I love it. I have a lot of experience teaching retailers how to sell hemp products here.
Amazing.
But still only scratched the surface. It's such an incredible category, hemp, and
massive.
It's coming. It's going to explode, and I think that's a very smart approach to get good quality contract people. And I think their focus on education will be a huge strength for them, because that's what you need. You need to build that brand awareness, especially now that it's, I don't want to say it's the wild, wild west, but it kind of is in a way, right? It's sort of like
CBD. It is for sure.
For CBD, but even with just hemp products, hemp protein, hemp for like textiles and so forth, it's still only really starting to move forward. I mean, we barely scratched the surface, I think, because of the stigma involved. So I think education's key, and raising awareness is key. And those who invest in that strong foundation now to build that brand awareness, I think will end up coming out on top later on. So Yeah, if there's an option there, I'm so interested.
Good to know.
I think that's wonderful. CW. I'll have to check
CW hemp. So it's Charlotte's Web, and
Charlotte's Web. That sounds very familiar. I don't know if we have that here in Canada though.
I don't think there's distribution there yet. Which is another thing to talk about.
Charlotte's Web.
They were on the news. They were one of the few that were brought into mainstream news because of Charlotte, the girl that had like massive seizures constantly.
Yes, that's where I heard about it. Yes. I don't know if we actually have it in Canada though. I remember hearing about that. It was like a big news release. Yeah. Yeah.
So they were the company that were the ones that supplied her with the CBD, and they named a strain after her called Charlotte's Web. Yeah. So this is the strain that was used to help her with her seizures. And they're growing leaps and bounds. They're still a startup company, but so they need a lot of nimble people that can do a lot of different things. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I'll definitely keep you in mind as I navigate this kind of thing, and there may be some opportunities there. I asked them a litany of quality questions before getting involved. I said, there's really no point to this if you guys are using toxic solvents and stuff like that. So their quality team came back to me this morning with tip-top perfective responses on everything that I had laid out for them, which is super rare. So from a quality perspective, you got my stamp of approval as well.
That's good, because I'll tell you, your quality approval is like
the gold standard, buddy.
Yeah, if not my level, way above. I mean, 100%. I would easily trust your judgment, blindfolded on that one. So
thank you. So so I'll let you know what evolves. Yeah, I'll be having conversations with them this week and into next.
Great, that sounds like an exciting opportunity. Whether this works out or not, I think for them in general, I think it's a great one, but I'd love to be considered. That's very exciting to me. So thanks, buddy. Thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah, of course. So next Friday, I'm still good. So we'll hang out then again. And,
cool. And then that's the last one before you,
before I depart. Yeah, exactly.
I'm so happy for you for Thailand.
Thanks, man.
Oh man, I am so happy for you. That is going to be such an amazing kind of getaway, culturally, mentally, just
whole new world. I've never been there. So my first
food wise, the thought of picking, so we just went apple picking, and just because that's in seed, it's like that's the last thing that grows up here in Canada right now for like 6 months, right? No, besides potatoes.
I
don't know. I don't even know why I had that accent, but anyway, it's like Tom Cruise in that movie. We gotta get us some potatoes. But the apples, when you pick them ripe off the tree, what a huge difference compared to just getting in the supermarket.
Incredible.
That's with all of our food. When you go to Thailand, you're going to be picking it off the tree, right, buddy?
Right. And it's cheap there. Like you can stay in a hostel for $5 a night. Meals are $2. So I'm saving money, staying there for a month.
And the food.
Yeah, I heard it's amazing. So I can't wait. Thanks, man.
Well, listen.
Yeah, this was
fun.
Have an
amazing
Great
week.
job on this one.
This was fantastic. I love this session, and keep in touch, man. I look forward to next week.
Yeah, bro. Till next time.
Cool, buddy. We're gonna stop recording.